Thanks for joining us on the John Mendola Show. We are driven by McCarthy Tire Service. Melissa Mertz joins us from the PIAA. Great to see you again. It's been a while, but boy, it's been a busy summer. And right now, everybody's kind of clinging on to hope that there's going to be some sports in the state of Pennsylvania, but there's a lot of steps that have to take place with that. And you're kind of on the forefront there with the PIAA. Talk a little bit about, Melissa, what it's been like the last several weeks.
Well, as you've said, it's been very busy. We've just taken week by week, step by step here as we, even back as far as June, when we first got word from the governor that we could open up and allow kids to start having out-of-season voluntary workouts on school campuses. And then it's just been every week since then trying to fight for the next step. We got fall sports. Then we had to take a step back when the governor made his announcement during the press conference that his strong recommendation was that there would be no sports until January 2021. We put everything on pause. We met with our sports medicine advisory committee. We met with members of his staff. And then we also met with members of the General Assembly. And then last Friday, as you saw, our board went ahead and voted 25-5 to move forward with fall sports starting on August 24th. So now, our next two things, our big items right now that we're fighting for are, one, we'd like to get some movement on the limitation of 25 individuals for indoor sports. That would really help us out with girls volleyball and water polo. And then the other thing is the spectator issue. Right now he has guidance in the actual language in the governor's guidance says visitors and spectators are prohibited for school sports K-12. So we just need to get that walked back, and hopefully we can do that in the next week or two.
So in the next week or so, we're looking at probably around September 11th here in District 2 in northeastern Pennsylvania for the start of many of our sports, including the big one, which would be football. But soccer and field hockey are kind of right around that corner. So you would think somewhere maybe by next Friday before Labor Day weekend, we may get some guidance on if fans may be able to attend some of those contests in a limited capacity, wearing face masks or whatever the rules are with that.
Yeah, that's our target, is that before we hit Labor Day weekend, we can say to the schools, this is the exact guidance we're providing you after conversations with governor, staff, et cetera. That is our target date. So, and I think, our points have been this. One, you're dealing with minors for the most part, kids that are 13, 12, 15, 16. And our concern is if we're not going to allow a parent or a guardian to be there, do we have some liability issues? If a kid gets hurt, they need to be transported, to a hospital or whatever it may be. And the other piece is this. If already the guidance for everything else in outdoor settings allows for 250, well, if we're at a soccer match and between the officials and the teammates and the players and the coaches, we have 100, well, then let us have the other 150 for moms and dads and brothers and sisters, to come watch. So those are the two angles that we're working off of, and those are the two things that we're really pushing forward to hopefully get some movement from his office.
With that being said, so let's just say, we do get a soccer match or a football game for that matter. We have somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 people just to, be involved in the event. Mm-hmm. Is there any chance you think that could go above 250 if there's social distancing, if there's masks, and we're looking at, a large stadium? Is that possible to get down that road, or you think that's a little bit of a large task, I guess, to ask for?
Yeah, I think right now it might be a large task for us to ask above and beyond the 250. To be honest with you, we're just trying to get 250 for school sports that will allow parents, that will allow guardians to be there. So that's at our forefront. That's what's most important. If we can get there, and then, as we start getting closer and maybe we are able to have district and state playoffs, obviously we're really going to need some help on that 250 number because, we have, when you talk about a football game, as you know, John, you have got between the two teams, then the band and the cheerleaders, you're going to get there fast to 250. So to answer your question, I'd say, we might try to get some movement on that down the road, but first and foremost, we just got to try to get moms and dads there.
Obviously, a lot has to go in the right direction for this to continue, for us to even have a season as the weeks go on. So student athletes, some students are doing home, work at home. Some are going to school. So we have a variety of that going on. But even down the road, are the playoffs, would you say it's a little bit of a pipe dream? Like right now, looking ahead, hey, we may have some district playoffs where counties could cross lines in some parts of the state. And then beyond that into maybe state playoffs, which you're getting now a lot of movement. But there's, I think, let's take one step at a time, thinking that is it possible? Maybe, but people shouldn't really get their hopes up. This is a step-by-step process here.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important for us to reiterate that right now, what's most important for us is to get a regular season, is to get these kids some games and have a regular season. That's our biggest goal right now. If we can get there to district, I think districts can be possible, are ones that might be possible just because you're staying rather, close proximities, traveling within the district. But state championships is probably going to be something that we really have to have some serious discussions about, simply because, we really should try to, as best we can, limit the travel around the whole state. And you get into a state playoff and you know how big we are here in Pennsylvania. You get a second round matchup in, I'll just take soccer, for example. I mean, you could have somebody from Philly playing somebody from Pittsburgh. So, in between and meeting in Harrisburg. So, I think it's important. Those are things we'll take into consideration when we're, making that when the board makes that determination about states. But, right now, as you mentioned, the focus is getting the kids regular season and getting them some games.
As far as your team there at the PIAA, Bob Lombardi, Mark Byers, and everybody else involved, talk about these conversations, which I'm sure are happening daily, whether they're Zoom calls or what have you. But there's a lot of work that's gone into what you're doing, and there's still, as you say, a lot of work to be done in the next week, the week after, and we all have our fingers crossed that this can be done safely and everybody can maintain their health.
Yeah, it certainly has been a lot of work. It's been a lot of Zoom meetings with the members of the board, members of our sports medicine advisory committee. We've met with each of our fall sports steering committee committees. And, we're having board meetings about every 2-3 weeks, I'd say 3 weeks. And, but you know what, it's something that, that Bob said a couple of weeks ago to members of the press that, we got to try. Because what if we don't try? We at least got to give it a shot, and we got to do everything we can to try to get it up and running for these kids. Because the high school athlete is different than the college athlete in many ways. When the student enters 9th grade academically, they got 4 consecutive years. That's it. There's no redshirting once you're, become a freshman in high school. And, these kids don't get that year back. They can't, put it on the shelf and turn it in later. So it's important, and we recognize that, and we're willing to do the work that it takes. So hopefully it pays off.
In talking to one of the legendary field hockey coaches, Karen Klasner out of Wyoming Seminary, she had said her team is going to wear masks. And she is thinking that some of the other field hockey teams are going to do that. We don't know if that is going to happen in other sports, but I found it interesting that her team and possibly other field hockey teams may go that route. You guys have any language in there for that, or is it, kind of up to the individual teams, districts, to kind of go and do what they need to do?
Yeah, it's up to each individual school and the teams and what they decide is best for their athletes and their students. In our return to competition guidelines and also in the governor's orders, it does not require a student to wear a mask while they're actively engaged in the activity. So once they're in between the lines and they're playing, they're not required to wear a mask. When they come off and they can't be socially distanced, they need to have masks on and do their best to be socially distanced while they're on the team benches. But, we had some concerns with if we were going down that road of requiring, just because you might have kids that have exercise-induced asthma. You take the heat into consideration. So we felt it was best to leave that up to each local school, what they feel is best for their athletes and their students. They'll put in place.
Melissa Mertz, always great to talk to you and pick your brain a little bit. We hope you enjoy your weekend, and hopefully we'll have some safe, positive sports here in the state of Pennsylvania. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Great to see you. Thank you.